The fundamental belief of Islam rests in monotheism. Like other religions of the world, they believe that Allah is the one God. This God is omnipresent, omniscience, and omnipotent. Muslims believe that there is a large value in seeing oneness and unity of God compared with other religions. Those who practice this religion do not recognize any other deity. Belief in and worship of one God is a primary tenet of Islam. While called by different names in the Old and New Testaments in Islam, God is typically referred to by the Arabic name Allah, which simply means God. The five pillars of faith connect the belief in Allah. Shahada is the confession of faith and the most important pillar practiced every day. Followers repeat a creed as often as possible. The creed is, "There is no God but Allah. Muhammad is the messenger of Allah." The statement is uttered to reinforce the belief in unity of God and the Prophet Muhammad. People's first and final experience with language generally involves this statement. Another practice outlining the importance of the belief in Allah is the salat or prayer. Muslims pray 5 times a day. It involves purification or wudu. Muslims face the holy city, Mecca, during prayer and pray to Allah. This is how they honor him. One significant historical figure that contributed to the development of Islam was Abu Bakr. Pfizer explains that he was known as the first person to convert to Islam. He was a merchant and knew much about Arab tribes. He was known as al-Siddiq, the one who trusts, because he believed Muhammad's journey to Jerusalem was the truth. Muhammad's original guard had selected him to be the caliph and serve as a religious leader and civil ruler. During his time, he launched a campaign to expand Islam's empire. Those who didn't pay their tax would be challenged in war. He was successful in Yemen, Yamama, and against tribes of Assad, as well as having successful conquests against the Byzantines in Iraq and Syria. The general population was content with this appointment. However, some thought Muhammad's cousin and son-in-law Ali should become caliph. The disagreement is what has created two sects of Islam, the Sunni and Shia. In his short reign of 2 years, he put down the apostasy, a religious and political revolt directed against the government of Medina, and set in motion the great wave of Arab conquest over Persia, Iraq, and the Middle East. One common misconception some may have about women in Islam is that the religion has hindered social, political, and economic equality of women. The reading states that prior to the religion's formation, women in this religion were afforded no rights. They couldn't divorce, but men could divorce them. Infanticide of girls was common practice. Women were treated as the property of the male relatives. According to our text, the Prophet Muhammad made valuable strides in women's protection. Women were granted the ability to divorce, to gain dowries if divorced, inherit property, and ages of marriage were raised. Despite these truths, though, women are still not seen as equals in many roles. Most Islamic communities do not allow women to hold positions of religious leadership, instead emphasizing traditional gender roles associated with homemaking and raising children. Most of their role is at home. They are not professionals or as educated as men. There are a few places where women of Islam are in political roles, such as Malaysia and India. Benazir Bhutto was the Prime Minister of Pakistan during the 1980s. This does still not seem to be the norm, but an exception. I have chosen these topics because they give a broad overview of our core beliefs of Islam and why certain rituals are deemed important based on that core belief. Abu Bakr seemed to be an important figure to discuss as he was one of the first people with power after Muhammad's death. His experience also helped create the different sects of Islam. The text also explained that this election of him was controversial, so it seemed like a very important topic to touch on.